Hey there, hoop fans. It's Kokan, your go-to guru for all things roundball, fondly known to the community as Tips and Streams. We're not just dribbling around here. We're talking serious plays and epic showdowns. Today, we're diving deep into the heart of the NBA, breaking down some of the most anticipated matchups that are about to set the court on fire. But wait, before we jump into the action, do me a favor. Slam dunk that subscribe button on our YouTube channel. Why? Because you don't want to miss out on our expert analysis, predictions, and those secret top picks that might just give you bragging rights among your friends. All right, fellow ballers, let's lace up and dive in. The first today's prediction is for the matchup between the Philadelphia 76ers and Detroit Pistons. In the next slam on the hardwood, the Philly 76ers are gearing up to face off against the Detroit Pistons, and all signs point to the 76ers ruling the court. The odds makers are leaning heavily towards Philly, tagging them with an 11-point edge and setting the game's total score bar at 232.5. The 76ers are on a roll this season, flaunting a solid 15-7 record, a stark contrast to the Pistons' struggle bus ride at 221. This gap shines through in their offensive and defensive plays. Philly's offense is a force to reckon with, landing them in the fourth spot for points scored, averaging a whopping 122 per game. Their defense isn't lagging either, conceding an average of 113.2 points, which puts them at 14th in the league. They're also grabbing an average of 45.2 rebounds per game, ranking 9th. Their game from downtown is on point too, sinking an average of 12.3 triples per game. The Pistons, meanwhile, are scrambling on both ends. They're lagging in points scored, averaging just 108.7, putting them near the bottom at 29th, and they're not faring much better in defense, allowing an average of 118.8 points, ranking 23rd. They're doing slightly better in rebounds, with an average of 44.3 per game, placing them at 13th. Their three-point game, however, is in the dumps, with only 10.2 made per game, ranking 28th. Joel Embiid is the 76ers ace, averaging a stunning 33.4 points, 11.4 rebounds, and 6.4 assists per game, with a 52% field goal success rate. The Pistons' Jalen Duren, though, is clocking in with 12.6 points and 10.9 rebounds per game, shooting 63% from the floor. In their last 10 head-to-head matchups, the Pistons have only bagged 2 wins, but have managed to cover the spread in 4. In their last 5 home games, they've won 2 and covered the spread in 3. So, the game seems set for a 76ers win. They're tipped to beat the spread, with total points expected to dip under 232.5. It seems straightforward, but Monty Williams might just pull a rabbit out of his coaching hat and get the Pistons playing up to scratch. Williams is easily one of the top 4 coaches in the league right now, and I wouldn't be surprised if he turns things around in the upcoming games. Will it start with this showdown against the 76ers? Time will tell. The next prediction is for the match between New Orleans Pelicans and Washington Wizards. Tonight's showdown at the Capital One Arena promises to be a gripping encounter in the hoops world. The New Orleans Pelicans, boasting a decent 13-11 tally, are gearing up to clash with the Washington Wizards, who are currently grappling with a tough 3-19 stretch. Fresh off a compelling triumph over the Timberwolves, where they nailed a 121-107 victory, the Pelicans are showing some serious game. Zion Williamson, the star of the show, racked up an impressive 36 points in that match. Despite a season that's been a roller coaster, especially during their away games where they're 4-7, they've demonstrated some solid plays. The Wizards, however, seem to be caught in a rough patch. They're wrestling with a 5-game skid and a disheartening 1-7 record on their home court. Even though they've been scoring an average of 115.6 points per game, their defense is lagging. It's the most porous in the league, letting in an average of 126.3 points. When you look at the stats, the Pelicans have the upper hand over the Wizards in both scoring and defense. The Pelicans average 113.8 points per game and concede 113.9, while the Wizards, scoring slightly higher at 115.6, give up a hefty 126.3 points. In the realm of three-pointers, both teams are trailing, with the Pelicans sinking 10.8 per game and the Wizards at 11.7. In their recent face-offs, each team has had its share of victories and successful spreads, with the Wizards having a slight edge in the spread in their last 3 games against the Pelicans at home. Injuries could be a game-changer in this match. Zion Williamson is on the questionable list for the Pelicans, along with two others sidelined with injuries. The Wizards have several key players either out or in doubt, which might tilt the scales. Predicting the outcome of this game is tricky. While the Pelicans seem poised to take the win, their ability to beat the 8-point spread in an away game is uncertain. The Wizards, on their part, have struggled with high-point spreads, and tonight might not be any different. Still, the prediction leans towards the Pelicans not just clinching the win, but also beating the spread. Their rebounding edge and knack for exploiting the Wizards' defensive gaps make them the favorites for tonight's victory. In sum, my bet is on the New Orleans Pelicans to emerge victorious and cover the minus 7.5-point spread. The next prediction is for the match between Charlotte Hornets and Miami Heat. The Charlotte Hornets, sitting at a 7-14 slate, are hustling to rebound from a slump, having dropped 5 out of their last 7 matchups. They're netting an average of 113.4 points with a 47.5% field goal efficiency, but their defense is raising some eyebrows, conceding an average of 121 points. Heavy hitters like LaMelo Ball, Terry Rozier, Miles Bridges, and Gordon Hayward are pivotal in their game plan. Conversely, the Miami Heat are looking stronger, boasting a 13-10 record. Clinching victories in 3 of their last 5 contests, including a close win over the Hornets, they're riding a positive wave. Key playmakers like Duncan Robinson, Jimmy Butler, and Caleb Martin are spearheading the team's strategy, which emphasizes airtight defense and sharpshooting. Injuries are playing a major role in this face-off. The Hornets are missing crucial names like Ball, which is denting their away game, where they've been faltering. Miami, grappling with the absence of Adebayo and Harrow, still manages to hold down the fort defensively, ranking 9th in scoring defense. When it comes to head-to-head stats, the Heat have the Hornets on the ropes this season, emerging victorious in their recent clashes. The Hornets' defense, especially in the final quarter, is their Achilles heel, languishing at 30th in the league for fourth-quarter points conceded. Miami's prowess in snagging offensive rebounds and their home court leverage could tip the scales in this showdown. Comparing the Hornets' road stats and the Heat's home performance, the numbers don't draw a clear line between them. Crunching these stats, it seems likely Miami will grab the win, but they might not breeze past the hefty 8-point spread. The forecast tilts in favor of the Miami Heat, especially on their turf. Their formidable defense and current momentum make them the frontrunners. However, the Hornets are known for their grit and might just stay within the spread, turning this into a nail-biter. In summary, while both squads have their fortes and flaws, the Miami Heat's defensive mastery and home court stronghold position them as the likely victors, yet I'm betting on the Charlotte Hornets to keep it close and beat the plus 8-point spread. The next prediction is for the match between Atlanta Hawks and Toronto Raptors. Tonight's battle at the Scotiabank Arena is a real nail-biter, with both squads, the Raptors and Hawks, desperate to snap their 4-game skid. Toronto's court, where the Raptors have a slight edge with a 9-14 record against the Hawks' 9-13, is set for some high-octane basketball. This season, the Raptors have been playing a game of extremes, averaging 111. 9 points a game, they're sitting in the 22nd spot league-wide, but their defense is a bit tighter, conceding 113.8 points and ranked 17th. They shine when it comes to assists, throwing down 28.5 a game, the 4th highest in the league. Their 3-point game, though, isn't hitting the mark with a low 33.4% success rate. On the boards, they're more consistent, pulling down 45.5 rebounds per game. Flip the script to the Hawks, and you've got an offensive juggernaut racking up 122.2 points per game, the 3rd best in the league. But their defense is leaking points, allowing 122.8 per game, one of the league's worst. They're holding their own on the glass, though, averaging 44.5 rebounds. Their 3-point game is solid, sinking shots at a 37% clip. Looking at their recent matchups, high-scoring showdowns are the norm, with the Hawks usually bringing the heat offensively. But considering the Raptors' home court vibe and their stronger defense, they could tip the scales. My prediction: the Raptors might have the home court, but the Hawks are looking fierce, especially when it comes to beating the spread. Expect a tight game, full of scoring runs from both teams. My bet is the Atlanta Hawks +3. Remember, in hoops, anything can go down, so place your bets wisely. The next prediction is for the match between Memphis Grizzlies and Houston Rockets. In the upcoming hardwood showdown at the Toyota Center, the Memphis Grizzlies are set to battle it out with the Houston Rockets, who are on a roll with their impressive streak in their home court fortress. The Rockets have been tearing up the court with an 11-9 overall slam, but it's their home game hustle that's really turning heads, boasting a near-perfect 10-1 record. The Grizzlies, meanwhile, are scrambling to find their rhythm this season, sitting at a 6-16 record, with their road games being a particular hurdle, as evidenced by their 5-6 away record. The betting scene is buzzing with the Rockets as the hot favorites, with odds makers giving them a 7-point edge. Their 75% success rate against the spread is a testament to their consistency, towering over the Grizzlies' 40.9%. The Rockets have been a sure bet when it comes to covering the spread, especially when they're favored by 7 or more. The Grizzlies, on the flip side, have shown some grit, covering the spread 75% of the time when they're down by more than 7 points. When it comes to the court strategy, the Rockets are a force to be reckoned with at home, playing tight defense and ranking 5th in the league for defensive efficiency. The Grizzlies, struggling to find their offensive groove with a 27th rank in offensive efficiency, might hit a wall against the Rockets' defense. Spotlight players like Desmond Bane for the Grizzlies and Alperen Sengun for the Rockets are set to play pivotal roles. Bane, with his sharpshooting averaging 24.6 points, is a major threat beyond the arc, while Sengun, posting 20.8 points and 9.1 rebounds per game, is expected to rule the paint. Looking at recent plays and stats, it seems the Rockets are primed to keep ruling their home court and beat the spread. Given the Rockets' defensive prowess and the Grizzlies' offensive struggles, it's likely the game's total points will stay under 203.5. Wrapping it up, the Houston Rockets, riding high on current form, team stats, and home court advantage, are tipped to outplay the Memphis Grizzlies and cover the spread. Their solid record on home turf, combined with the Grizzlies' away game woes, leans the prediction heavily in the Rockets' favor. My money's on the Rockets to take the win and cover that 7-point spread. The next prediction is for the match between Indiana Pacers and Milwaukee Bucks. The clash between the Indiana Pacers and the Milwaukee Bucks is shaping up to be a hardwood showdown to remember. The Pacers, sporting a solid 13-8 record, have been tearing it up on the road, boasting a 6-3 record in away games. Their recent triumph over the Detroit Pistons was a slam dunk for their offense, with Benedict Mathurin lighting up the scoreboard and Tyrese Halliburton dishing out assists like a maestro. Their offensive game is dropping a hefty 128.5 points per game, but they're letting through nearly 124.8 points on the defensive end. Meanwhile, the Milwaukee Bucks, sitting pretty at 16-7, are proving to be a juggernaut, especially in their own house with an impressive 11-2 home record. Their latest victory against the Chicago Bulls was a testament to Giannis Antetokounmpo's dominance and the steady contributions from players like Brook Lopez and Malik Beasley. The Bucks are netting an average of 122.6 points per game, while their defense is giving up 119.2 points. When you break down the betting stats, the Pacers are showing they can hang with division rivals and excel in high-scoring face-offs. The Bucks, on the flip side, might be stumbling as home favorites, but are consistently hitting the over in home games and when they haven't covered the spread in their previous matchups. The tipping point in this game is going to be the offensive firepower of both squads against their relatively softer defenses. The Pacers are scoring and assisting with efficiency, while the Bucks have shown they can force misses, a key play in this face-off. The Bucks, despite being the hometown heroes with a strong win record, have shown some cracks in their armor, particularly on defense. Their 9-14 record against the spread this season is a telltale sign of this vulnerability. Facing a high-octane offense like the Pacers could really test the Bucks' limits. The Pacers' scoring ability is no joke, as they've been consistently racking up big numbers on the scoreboard. What's more, in their seasonal head-to-head, the Pacers have already clinched 2 wins against the Bucks, suggesting they've got the playbook to exploit the Bucks' defensive lapses. All signs point to the Pacers possibly having the upper hand in this game, especially if they capitalize on their offensive strengths and the Bucks' defensive weaknesses. In short, while the Bucks have the home court edge and an admirable record, their shaky defense and the Pacers' potent offense might just be the game changers in this thrilling matchup. The Pacers' knack for challenging the Bucks' defense could very well be the game decider in what's gearing up to be a riveting and closely contested battle. I'm placing my bets on the Indiana Pacers to cover the 7-point spread. The next prediction is for the match between Los Angeles Lakers and San Antonio Spurs. Tonight, at the Frostbank Center, the court heats up with the Los Angeles Lakers, boasting a solid 15-9 record, squaring off against the San Antonio Spurs, who've been grappling with a challenging season, standing at 3-19. The Lakers face a tough test tonight, battling on the heels of yesterday's game, a scenario that's been a mixed bag for them this season. Their track record in recent back-to-backs shows just one win in 3 attempts, and interestingly, that lone victory was against the Spurs, a high-scoring 143-138 showdown. Leading the Lakers is the ever-dominant LeBron James, dropping an impressive 25 points, grabbing 7.5 rebounds, and dishing out 6.6 assists per game. Their defense has been a fortress, but the rigors of consecutive games and a less-than-stellar road record this season might just give the Spurs an opening. The Spurs, despite their struggles, aren't without their bright spots. They're putting up an average of 110.7 points each game. However, their field goal efficiency lags at 45.6%, and they've been tripping over high turnovers and fouls. Rookie sensation Victor Wembanyama, with his impressive skill set, might just be the wild card against the seasoned LeBron. The betting scene anticipates a nail-biter, with the Lakers typically outperforming against teams with losing streaks, but wobbling in back-to-back games. The Spurs haven't been great at covering in their recent outings, yet they've shown a knack for overshooting point totals on their home turf. All things considered, the Lakers' recent form, their statistical edge, and the challenges facing the Spurs point towards a potential Lakers win. However, don't count out the Spurs, especially with the Lakers possibly feeling the strain of back-to-back action and the Spurs playing on familiar ground. So, tonight's prediction is a tight contest, with the Lakers favored to clinch it, but expect the Spurs to give them a run for their money. With a modest 2-point spread, the Lakers have a fair shot at not just winning, but also covering the spread. Yet, it's wise to keep tabs on the Lakers' injury report, as there's chatter about LeBron and others sitting out after last night's game. Should that happen, it might be best to steer clear of this matchup. The next prediction is for the match between Brooklyn Nets and Phoenix Suns. In the upcoming hardwood clash, the Brooklyn Nets, strutting onto the court with a hard-earned 12-10 record, are lighting up the scoreboard with an impressive 117 points per game average. Their sharpshooting prowess from the field is evident with a 47.3% success rate. The Nets are also making waves beyond the arc, hitting 39.1% of their three-pointers, coupled with a solid 77.7% accuracy from the charity stripe. On defense, they're hustling to force 11.6 turnovers per game, while holding their opponents to a 45.3% shooting clip. Facing off against them are the Phoenix Suns, matching the Nets' record, but recently hitting a rough patch, with a 1-4 skid in their last 5 outings. Despite the turbulence, they're keeping the scoreboard ticking, with an average of 115.1 points per game. Their field goal efficiency slightly trails the Nets, but they're masters from downtown and at the free throw line, boasting impressive 47.3% and 83.3% rates, respectively. The spotlight's on the electrifying matchup of Cam Thomas versus Kevin Durant. Thomas, a scoring whirlwind for Brooklyn with an average of nearly 24 points per game, faces Durant, a scoring titan, challenging the Nets' defense with his all-around offensive arsenal. Looking at recent performances and betting odds, both squads showcase distinct strengths. The Nets have been aching road games and beating the spread, while the Suns, despite recent hiccups, remain resilient, particularly on their home turf. The Suns' proficiency in sinking free throws and leveraging their home court edge are crucial aspects to watch. Predictions for the game's total points are tightly contested, with some favoring a lower score, factoring in the Suns' slower tempo and the Nets' tightened perimeter defense. However, the absence of key players like Durant for the Suns might significantly alter the game's dynamics. Wrapping it up, while the Suns might have a marginal advantage with their home court and free throw efficiency, the Nets' recent form and road game prowess position them as strong contenders. This duel could be a nail-biter, potentially tipping in the Nets' favor to beat the 4-point spread. My money's on the Brooklyn Nets to take this one. The last prediction for today is for the match between New York Knicks and Utah Jazz. Tonight's showdown at the Delta Center is set to be a hoop extravaganza. The New York Knicks, boasting a solid 13-9 record with an even-Steven 6-6 on the road, are squaring off against the Utah Jazz, who are currently at 7-16, showing a slightly stronger game on their home turf with a 6-5 record. Fresh from their high-octane triumph over the Raptors, the Knicks stride in as 5.5-point favorites, with the points bar set at 227. Their recent displays of basketball prowess, especially Julius Randle's stunning 34-point haul and a striking 60.5% success rate in field goals against Toronto, place them in a formidable position for tonight's clash. On the flip side, the Jazz are grappling with a 3-game slump and have been hitting snags on the offensive front. Their performance in beating the odds has been a mixed bag, with an 11-12-0 record against the spread this season, and they're up against a tough challenge with the Knicks' rock-solid defense. The Jazz might find some solace in their home court edge at the Delta Center, where they've been notably stronger this season. Yet their scoring woes could well continue in the face of New York's defensive might. Looking back, the face-offs in Salt Lake City have been a roller coaster. The Knicks and Jazz have been passing the victory baton back and forth over the years, with Utah often dominating on their home court. But the current form of both teams hints at a possible shakeup in this trend. Spotlight matchups, particularly the duel between the Knicks' Jalen Brunson and the Jazz's Lauri Markkanen, are set to be game changers. Brunson, with his impressive season run of 24.8 points and 5.5 assists per game, is pitted against Markkanen's 23.7 points and 8.7 rebounds per game. The crux of the game might rest on which star shines brighter, especially in defense and rebounding. Given the Knicks' recent surge, offensive edge, and the Jazz's struggles, the scales tip towards a Knicks win. They seem well equipped to beat the spread, especially considering their knack for keeping rivals below 110 points per game, combined with Utah's scoring hiccups. The total points might veer towards the lower end, given the Jazz's trend of underscoring in their recent games and the Knicks' occasional offensive hitches. To wrap it up, tonight's forecast is a Knicks triumph, beating the spread, with the total points likely dipping below the 227. My bet is on the New York Knicks to clinch the win and surpass the 6-point spread. All right, hoopheads, that's the buzzer for today's predictions. Big thanks for rolling with us. If you're vibing with our picks, slam that subscribe button and get on board. Catch you on the court tomorrow. Peace.